s1mple fans, come here. We're back with another episode post-major. Obviously, didn't go as simple as wanted in the quarters, but we're here talking about him anyway. And we have Tech Girl on. She's, we featured on a couple of her podcast episodes, and now we thought we'd flip it around. So how's it going, Sam?
I'm so nervous because I'm never on this side. Normally I'm hosting. It's super easy. I can just ask questions. If I disagree with someone, I'll just ask a question and get them to kind of say what I think they should say in that way. And now suddenly I'm going to actually have to have an opinion. And obviously all of the HLTV forums believe or have said that I know nothing about Counter-Strike, and now they'll just be proven right. Because all I know is to talk about the vibes. But anyway, here we are.
It's okay.
Go with psychologists.
Yeah, we enjoyed dissecting some forum threads at the end of these episodes anyway, so you get a chance to shit on them.
No, I love your forums. Great people. Super awesome.
Yeah, we've got the hot takes, guy. Don't worry.
Harry, you've prepared a couple of meme slides as always. It's I feel like I saw this one on Twitter, so I don't know if this is an original. Is this a Harry original?
Well, we can peel back the curtain. I made this weeks ago. I made this when we first thought we were going to do a s1mple episode. So this is old. It's actually me. Someone else just had the same idea. But I think this is a valid meme because it's a good place to start with a s1mple episode. And it is kind of just as soon as FaZe announced him coming back, like it was just a different mood on Twitter everywhere. Everyone just got so much more excited. And that just is going to be a thing probably forever just because of his personality outside of the game. And that is a thing. And I think the next slide kind of says it all as well, which is just that people like watching FaZe all of a sudden. And it was the same at Dallas, and everyone was just tuning in. And, that's good for the game ultimately. That's why we care about s1mple ultimately, is because it's not just that he was probably the best player of CSGO, it's everything else around him, like the cultural impact. We have to use the phrase. I think that's the place to start, is just how good was it to have him back, Sam? What do you think?
I think, to go back to that previous meme, that this is the issue, right? Zyru can play as well as he wants, but he's also surrounded by really good players. But the thing about Zyru is, it's not the same effect that s1mple had. Do you know what I mean? You used to see s1mple do shit and be like, my God, how is this even possible? So people remember the way this is, oh my gosh, here we go. I said I wasn't going to do this. Here we are. Let's get all ridiculous and emotional and whatever. But I remember the way watching s1mple used to make me feel. And that's, I think, what everyone gets excited about, is just remembering that way you used to feel. You used to just be like, oh my gosh, what is he doing? What is he going to do next? And then it was also, like you said, Harry, the attitude that he had outside of the server, the way he would celebrate, the way he would get in people's faces, all of that, when you put it all together, he just becomes this personality that's bigger than just someone playing in the game, right? So I think that's why everyone got really excited, because we all were, I don't know, sipping the Kool-Aid thinking, okay, well, here it is. He's going to come back. He's going to do the Austin Major. He's going to do this incredible thing. FaZe is going to win the whole thing. It's going to be this incredible moment because we've seen s1mple do incredible things before. I mean, that's where I was. I'm not even going to lie. I was running around just screaming it from the rooftops. Anyone who would listen, which sucks because the person I live with is a League of Legends fan and was like, I don't get it. It's he only started watching Counter-Strike when we started dating. So for him, he was and that was 2 years ago. So s1mple wasn't really a big deal then. So he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand what's happening. And I'm running around screaming this random player's name nonstop. But that's where I was at. It was huge for me. And then obviously I was bitterly disappointed in the end, which we should have all seen coming. He was average. But it's nice to think that you'll feel the way you felt before.
It's just the dopamine hit, honestly. It's why I had to include the mouse wiggle. It's just, it doesn't matter whether he even hits the shot. Just seeing him shake his mouse, it just takes me back to being a kid straight away. So
it really does.
Yeah, it really is that feeling, and I think I don't know. I think this episode, it's not going to be Zyru bashing on cultural impact, so the forums can rest already. But it is kind of an element of, I'm going to have to try and be cold and statistical about what we've seen with s1mple, because there were some good moments. Stage 3 was really fun, it was really exciting, but then ultimately you look at it and he's kind of ended at the same as he was in Falcons, just about. If you look at the cold hard factual averages after that bad quarterfinal, Like, he's back down. This is not a GOAT level s1mple. This is not anywhere near his prime. And it's for understandable reasons, right? So that's going to be the kind of tension in this episode, I think, is between what we know he's capable of and like the flashes we saw and all the good talk about. I think there was a quote, wasn't it? I think we even have the graphic. All this, like, it's the positive signs. This is what we were all hearing before the major. All of this. I'm working out again. I'm changing my routine. Like, there's no alcohol. He's like in a boot camp with Rain and Carrigan for a month. And we saw a different s1mple to the one that was with Falcons, where it was like, he knew they were bad as well. Whereas I think this time it was slightly more. So I think it's that element of it, of how much do we think this was a one-off for a major, or how much do we think if he does get a new team next season, is he going to have this same attitude that time round, do you think?
I just love that he's coming in with like the Jay-Z Kanye vibe of, I had bros in Spain. They work out a lot.
Of course.
But I mean, I think this, when s1mple said this, it kind of signaled like a mind shift more than anything to me. Like, because he was sitting there not really trying for a very long time. Like, I even talked to Perfecto in Serbia at the awards, and he was like, yeah, like s1mple's not, he's out of it right now. He's not really trying. And then seeing this was like a mentality shift to me. And you could kind of see it at the event as well. Like, he was into it, which is also really funny because when we originally planned to do this episode was between stage 3 and playoffs, and it would have been an entirely different episode. I think there would have been a lot more s1mple glazing because he was, something like a 1.36 rating or whatever after stage 3, and that's really, really turned around by the time we got to the playoffs. I was gonna ask if you drank the s1mple Kool-Aid, Sam, but you already said that you did. Clearly, what did you think once they actually got to playoffs after that?
Before even that, though, I can say this. So, like, he obviously, when he did the step in for Falcons, I was excited that he was there, but I feel like I didn't react the same way. And I don't know if it's because at the time we just knew that team was bad, but I was like, I don't think he can make a difference. Like, I don't think he's, and I was pretty vocal because I remember working a challenger that Falcons was on, and I still got into like we'll call it a debate, not an argument, with MacMate, like on the desk live, where I was like, why can they not perform? Like, what is wrong with s1mple? Why is he not able to do this? Why is Falcons not able to do this? And being like quite negative about s1mple as well. And yet it was completely different. The moment FaZe announced they were bringing him in, I don't know why the whole Counter-Strike community just immediately assumed that the GOAT was coming back. After we had seen him play at Falcons, we'd heard all the stories from Blade and everyone else saying, like, he's not really in it. We all just really believed, cool, give him like, what was it? It was like 4 weeks, 3 weeks or whatever before Dallas, and like everything will be fine. He'll be amazing. This will be like the change every FaZe fan wants to see. And now in hindsight, out of it, when I think back to all of that, I'm like, what was wrong with all of us? How did we get there? Like, we're pretty logical humans for the most part when we talk about these teams. Like, how did we all just completely lose the plot? And what is it about the aura around this guy that allowed us to do that? Like, how many times is he going to let us down? It's like a toxic relationship, right? Like, he let us down with NAVI at the end. Then it was Falcons. Now I'm going to say he let us down. I think s1mple let us down. If you're a FaZe fan in the playoffs, I don't care if anyone wants to fight me on that. I think he let us down. But we'll welcome him back.
I think that's a definite statement. He for sure did.
I think he'd
But
agree.
we'll welcome him. What happens? He goes somewhere else. I mean, that's a discussion we can have later because I don't know where the hell he goes. But he goes somewhere else. Do we have the same attitude, or do we finally start going, hold on, maybe he's not the GOAT. Well, he is still the GOAT, but he's the GOAT of CSGO, and maybe he should retire. Sorry, Sasha.
I think this is the discussion, though, right? Is the kind of, because we've seen, like, in traditional sports, people just make like Ronaldo's got this goal of like 1,000 goals, and that's what's driving him, and he's going to keep going forever and ever and ever. But I think for s1mple, it's this kind of thing where he is the GOAT of CSGO, and it's probably already a bit late for him to want to be the GOAT of CS2. Like, that Zyru gap is not going to shrink, even if he's as good as he was then. He's like 7 MVPs behind or something. Like, it's not going to catch up. So it becomes more about what is it that can actually drive him to sacrifice quite a lot to do this kind of yearly career grind thing. Because I think I can't remember who said it. It might have been Maui, but it was like there's so much else going on in his life that is more important than the kind of grind of the PGL tournament this week, ESL tournament next week. Let's kind of, or like face it pugging, or anything of the Donk enjoys doing still because he's 17. Like, this is such a different stage in his career, and he's also had the break. I think, like, I can see why he was so motivated for the major, because he wants to prove people wrong and everything like that. But I struggle to see him have the same work ethic if he joined just a normal team and was like a top 5 AWPer in the world for the year. Like, that's not something that gets him going, really. Like, he needs to be the best player in the world. He needs to know that he has that level. And I'm just not sure psychologically how, like, I think that those go hand in hand. I think when he's playing really well, then his work ethic will improve as well. But I think if he's just a middling AWPer on a really good salary, like, that's not simple. That's not the point.
I think that's the big problem, is where he actually ends up landing, because if FaZe aren't bringing him back, which according to Striker they're not, then where he ends up is going to be the biggest problem, because if it ends up being a team that can't actually compete for trophies, I don't see him, keeping that mentality up. To your point earlier, though, Sam, when you said that you don't know why everyone was so hyped when FaZe came back on this team versus Falcons, I think a big part of it was the fact that he was playing with Kerrigan, and it is FaZe. FaZe already has a bit of this aura, right? So you have s1mple coming onto this team, and I think everyone saw this Kerrigan s1mple dynamic that was gonna potentially actually unlock FaZe, and I think that increased a lot of the excitement, because people saw FaZe not able to actually win the trophies. They saw, s1mple being a potential key to unlocking this, and that I think really took it over the top and made people just go completely insane.
I mean, I was one of them, so I get it. I think it's that, again, like, so I'm so unqualified for this. I'm not a psychologist. I don't have a sports psychology or whatever it is, mental coach background. I do not know s1mple personally, so I have absolutely no insights into what he's like as a person, other than the times that he says hello to me and lets me take selfies with him if we're at an event, because I am that person. Like, but I'm just going to have this opinion anyway, so it's completely unfounded and uneducated, but whatever. Which is, I think when you have such a big personality and someone, and I say big personality in the sense that even a ZywOo, he might not be like the loud, cocky guy outside the server, but what he does in the server makes him a big personality, right? It's so hard to put someone like that on a team. And we saw that with the Alexi v NAVI. Like, it just doesn't work, right? Because the sum has to be larger than the parts in order for a team to work. But when you put s1mple in, it's really difficult to get to that sum because he seems larger than everyone else. I think, in my opinion, there were only 2 teams he could go to, which was Falcons. They tried that. It obviously didn't work out. They don't need him now because they have m0NESY. And then there was FaZe. And the only reason it was FaZe is because, exactly like you said, it was Kerrigan, right? Kerrigan as a part is in my opinion, probably the same size as s1mple in how we look at him and who he is as a personality. So the sum ultimately becomes bigger. And I think we all believe enough in Kerrigan that we thought, okay, if there was an attitude problem, because there's been rumors about that with s1mple, that he has a bit of an attitude problem, that Kerrigan had a big enough personality and enough of his own aura to put him in his place and hopefully bring out the best version of s1mple, which we've seen in the past. So I think that that's probably why we all got excited. And I know for me, I got excited because who's not secretly a FaZe fan? Like, that's just a given. Like, everyone secretly is a little bit of a FaZe fan on the inside. And maybe it's a Kerrigan thing, but we all kind of hoped that this would be the redemption arc that Kerrigan needed after last year and those losses at the major. But then s1mple didn't do things in the playoffs, and that was that. And if we have to be honest and dissect like his performance throughout the major, it was fine. Like, he put in the numbers, but I mean, was there anything? I would argue, even in the group stages, like, it was fine. Like, he did his job, but it wasn't like he came out and made me feel the way I feel when I maybe watch Donk or m0NESY, or made me go, holy shit, this guy, like, he still got it. I was going, I mean, I think maybe at the time you're like, oh, maybe he still has it. Maybe it's there. Maybe he just needs a bit more time. But I think it was fine. And that's a horrible
there's like
word.
Flashes of old s1mple.
But for the most part, you're going, it's fine. And that's a horrible word to be using when you're talking about that particular player. But also, how unfair am I to just go, hey, dude, you had all this stuff going on, like your country was at war, like you've had to go through, I'm sure the amounts of pressure you've had to deal with in your career and like your own mental struggles, but also like you can't play fine. Like you can't be on a par with the best in the world. That's not good enough. You have to be the best in the world. Otherwise, I'm going to sit here and talk about how you're washed up and should retire. Like, I'm horrible.
But I think that's a bit that's kind of, if you are a s1mple fan and you want to see kind of peak s1mple again, I think the bit that's more concerning is that the attitude was so switched on. Like we were there, I mean, Nohte and I were both at the major, like kind of standing in front of him, filming him, because so that's what social media team needs, right? If s1mple's at a tournament, we're standing there with our phones for 20 rounds. And his attitude was like amazing. Like you wouldn't think anything of it. You would not see any of these like s1mple 2016 faces. Like that's just not, it's not there anymore. Even like, I think Elise said it in an interview as well. Like it's like he's actually really, really good now at getting the best out of people and wanting to win, but not taking it too far. And I think s1mple also like complimented the way Elite responded to criticism, and like it's 10 years have happened, right? So these people are different. But I think then it becomes like his attitude was perfect. They were grinding a lot, he was doing all the right healthy things and stuff. And is it just that a month isn't enough time to get back to the level, or is it that he's missed 2 years of CS2 and the individual level is just not really going to be possible to catch up with these guys who have been playing a stupid amount for 2 years straight? And like at some point, like the kind of like nurture or nature element of talent of, if you don't play for 2 years, even if you are the most talented player to ever play CSGO, like that matters. And no amount of face it pubs will make up for that in the next 6 months. Like I just don't think s1mple is on that tier of the Zyru and the Donk. I don't think he can get back to that. I think over 2 spells where he's sort of had to practice quite a lot, he's still been below that standard in terms of output. Like he's actually, I think it was one of the slides at the end note, but I've thought of it now. So it's the big table, loss of numbers. We love numbers.
I'm on
remember it.
I'm on it.
He's on it. Producer, hosting, extravaganza.
This
but
big table?
Yes.
All right.
And you can just see, red's bad, green's good, guys. And he just doesn't kill that many people anymore. He did for stage 3, but then like if we look at Dallas stage 1, Dallas stage 2 playoffs and stage 3, like stage 3 is the anomaly there in terms of his fragging. He's basically just a pretty passive AWPer, and he was in 2023 is the thing that people forget, is that, you know, I think he still ended up pretty high in the top 20, but there was that weird thing. There was like 6 good players, and then there was like a mess of like 8 players, like 7 to 14 or something. So even in 2023, like his fragging was declining. Like he wasn't a 0.8 KPR player. And, you know, there's obvious reasons for that. No one would begrudge him for form dropping off to the war and everything like that. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if he does come back, don't expect a 0.8 KPR top 1 level player, because he's just, in my view at least, he's had 7 years of an insane peak from like maybe 2016 to 2023, and that is plenty long, and he's just not that guy anymore. That is ultimately just my opinion on it, is that his longevity is already kind of, it's in the rear view mirror, regardless of how many hours he can possibly put in now. But maybe I'm being harsh. I don't know.
Here's my question, though. Do you think this is partially because of the way FaZe uses their AWPers in general? Because they didn't have a lot of time to actually fit s1mple in, because Rain was missing at first in Dallas, and then they had to slot s1mple into the roster. They had him replacing Brokey. Brokey already did these kind of, you know, slightly more supportive roles as well as a AWPer in the backline and then playing late round. So does that kind of skew these stats a bit, Harry or Sam?
I mean, I think not really, just because he did the same with Falcons. And I think one of the things Carrigan said was that basically the reason it's good to change Brokey for s1mple is that it doesn't change our structure that much. Like you're saying, right? Like, you just swap an AWPer, like, but then you could really see s1mple was being so different on CT side, especially. I think somewhere there's another one where you kind of see he's like this ultra aggressive AWPer on CT side. And then on T side, he does very, very little and isn't that active player. He's like clutcher on T side. It's somewhere. Here it is. I didn't put these in a good order at all, did I? Sorry, Nancy. But yeah, he's much more aggressive than Brokey. He was there in the early rounds, and I think that's kind of something FaZe have lost a little bit with Brokey. I think in previous teams, they kind of got away with just pretending they could win every 2v4 and 3v5. But having s1mple, when he was playing really well, it was giving them a different dimension. So I think I'd give him credit for that. It's more that I'm saying he's more of like an on meta, top tier, good AWPer. That's what you see on like a stat sheet. If you take away the nameplate, he does not do all the crazy things that Zywu and even m0NESY this year, who's, people have criticized him, but even m0NESY on a stat sheet this year was way clear of the kind of raw output. Like, that is not s1mple anymore, and it wasn't in 2023 either. That's all I mean.
It's pretty mental, though, that, like you said, if you took away the nameplate, like, we wouldn't be looking at these stats being like, oh, he's bad. Like, it's good. Like, it's fine. Again, it's fine. Like, that's the thing. We're talking about someone who was fine, but is maybe our expectation of him just way too extreme? Are we the problem, gents?
I also think this, but I also think this because I basically don't rate any AWPer is the issue. And
Fair?
Except m0NESY.
we'll see.
I thought you were, I was supposed to be like, aren't you the
Obviously,
m0NESY fanboy number one?
because
Like,
he breaks the mold, right? That's why I'm so biased towards him, because he's the only one other than Zywu who's not even a real AWPer, apparently. But there's this thing, it's like you look at the best AWPers in the world, and it's like a 9-10 in Torsey in your top 5, like right now. Like, they probably are. And I'm just not convinced by either of them that like a top 5 AWPer is that. And I think there is a conversation to be had about CS2 and the 5-bullet nerf, which was just unnecessary, in my opinion. I think it's just really hard to be a top tier AWPer. I've kind of, people talk about it as the easy gun, the easy roll, because you get to just, throw the nades, bait, clutch. Like, no, this is really, really hard. And I think s1mple coming back exposes 2 things. One, that the current AWPers we have that we rate quite highly are just not that good, because on 3 weeks practice he looks as good as them. And it also exposes that, the AWPing is hard, and that even s1mple has to be a bit more supportive than you remember playing for teams like FaZe and Falcons. Even when he's coming back and doesn't know all the nades, like, they're still making him do those late round stuff. So I think it says quite a lot about the AWP role and s1mple that this is kind of the end result.
I just wanted to go back.
Yeah, go on.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I just wanted to go back, though, to, I think you brought it up a little while ago with regards to, like, the attitude as well, and how you said, like, at the major, his attitude was different. During the major, I got to interview Madden for something else, and he mentioned, like, I didn't see it. He said when we were playing on Falcons, s1mple was really good. Like, his attitude was great. I didn't see, he just said, and it was in passing, but he was like, I didn't see that negativity that everyone talks about. He said, like, he came and he put in the work, and like he was a positive addition to the team. And I thought that was really interesting, because you mentioned that you saw that as well at the major. So that whole narrative that we've had about him being a sort of negative force in a team is maybe pushed aside. But then it doesn't matter, right? Because, like you said, the game's now changed, and you're not delivering what I suppose people not only expect from s1mple, but I think if you're a team, if you're going to go and buy him out of his contract with NAVI, what you think you're paying for, right?
But maybe the good comes with the bad. Maybe that's the drive, right? Maybe it's the same thing. Maybe it's the same thing driving the kind of the bad behavior in NAVI, and also him getting 0.9 KPR for a year. Like, that is possible. And because we know these are the athletes. Like, Zywu is the exception because he's so good and doesn't do that, right? Like, we even see it with, like, when Donk isn't happy after winning a tournament because, like, someone threw a round or something. Like, it is that mentality. And I think s1mple still has that. It's just like the guy can retire happy whenever, and he knows it. I think that's the kind of difference. Is that it's just the end of his career, and that's fine for me.
I think the thing is that nobody wants to admit it might be the end of his career, and everyone wants that magic. Everyone wants to capture that magic, because coming in to replace Brokey, everyone thought that you just had to be marginally better, because Brokey wasn't awful, but he was definitely missing a good amount of shots towards the end of his I wouldn't say tenure on FaZe, because apparently he might come back, but just before he got benched. And, everyone thought s1mple being there would actually just be able to make that tiny bit of a difference. But then once you actually get to the playoffs, he had him missing, he went for the classic s1mple shots. He missed the classic s1mple shots in crucial rounds. It wasn't even like there's obviously the Mirage clip, which is now a highlight package. Shout out to Valve, good job. But there's even times on Anubis where, by the way, he was buying like the auto shotgun like 4 different rounds, I saw him buy an auto shotgun on a full buy or something, and it was just ridiculous. And there's times he was like pivoting around default on B, and you would see him peek. I think he got like a kill in main, and then he went to peek E-box, but the timing that s1mple would usually hit on that was just off by like half a second because he thought about it rather than just like went for the play. And it's those kind of small micro decisions that I think made a lot of difference for him in this. You could see that. I wouldn't say it's he's not experienced, but he hasn't played on a major stage in what, like 900 days or something. Chad was saying he hasn't played in like an arena playoffs in, I don't know, 600 days or something. So there was like there was a lot of ring rust in terms of playing in front of the arena. I'm not sure if you saw the same.
I just thought he looked like a different player between one stage and the other. And I think the ring rust is just a nice excuse for someone not showing up on the day that they have to show up. And I'm going to be a hard ass because I don't play competitive Counter-Strike on a big stage. So obviously I can have this really strong opinion. But if your job is to deliver a result and your job is to play at the highest level, and you are someone of the stature of s1mple playing with a team that has the stature of FaZe, I don't care if you haven't been on a stage for 600 days. There's just no excuse for. I don't think there's an excuse for the performance that we saw. I don't think it's nerves. I don't think it's experience. I think the guy didn't show up on the day. And the worst for me is, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I think that if FaZe had got through to the finals and then had been completely stomped by Vitality, and just completely shut the bed, we would still talk highly because they made the finals, right? And there would still be this conversation of damn, s1mple's the shit. Even if Vitality stomped them because they made the finals, my feeling now is after his performance in the playoffs, I don't feel that the aura around him is the same anymore. And this is something that I think I spoke about it last year, where I said I don't understand why the guy didn't just retire with the iteration of CS2 when the NAVI thing didn't work out in Cologne, and you could see that that team was a mess and he was going to get benched. Just retire. You would have retired at you would have been seen as the best forever. You could have done the get right, pitched up at every S tier event, be paid by stacks of brands just to be there and smile. You could have been the Pasha, walk the trophy out, make stacks of money. You'd still be making bank, and we'd all talk about you as the greatest of all time, and the argument, no one would ever question it. But now everyone, you kind of leave on that note, if that makes sense. And I say leave because I just don't see where he goes from here. The last thing we'll remember of s1mple is how he completely messed up FaZe's chances in the playoffs of the Austin Major. That's really hard.
I think we see him back.
He's not coming back. Who is going to take him? This is the thing, right? So FaZe is
in
not
3
gonna
months.
take him.
You don't
FaZe is not
think?
going to take him. No ways. Not going to happen.
Even after his contract expires.
Definitely not. I'm just saying it right here. Definitely not. FaZe would not take him.
Why?
Even if his contract expires and they get him for free, I don't think. I think that there is so much, and this is going to actually tie back into a point you were making, but he's missed too much time. There are so many hungry young talents out there grinding day in and day out, and they have, and this is just the sad truth about competitive Counter-Strike, they have nothing but CS. That is, they live it, they breathe it, they are s1mple when he was younger. Why do you take someone who, one, is finally, for probably the first time in his life, having an opportunity to actually have a life, one, to have enough money now to see the world, to experience new things, to have a girlfriend, to be able to have a life outside of this game? Or do you go and find a youngster who doesn't want a life outside of the game, who's grinding nonstop, who you can grow with, who's probably going to be cheaper salary-wise, I would argue, but also isn't going to have any responsibilities outside of that game? It's just going to be about playing for FaZe and being the best they can. If I was choosing a team, I'm going to take that one. I say that though because if you're FaZe, if you take this one, there's a lot of like marketing and money you could make in other areas. And if you were business savvy, that's probably the way to go. But I think if you're trying to build a winning team, I don't think s1mple's it. Like, I don't think he comes back. I think he's got way more going on in his life now. And I just don't think that, I think once you've experienced life, you're not going to give it all up and go back to grinding day in and day out, right?
I think it's the football manager approach, basically. It's to just look at it, and if you sign s1mple, it's going to cost a lot of money, it's going to create a lot of hype, but also, are you going to be able to sell him down the line at any point? Is he just going to expire his contract? But I think the one kind of counter is how much money all these young uppers have been going for. Is that like the rumor, like the 600k for Jambo, the 600k for Molodor? Like, I think Grick's supposed to be higher than that, even, I heard the other day. So I think that's the one thing for FaZe, is that, you know, if they bring Brokey back, then spend a few extra quid and get s1mple. But yeah, I think in the abstract, I definitely agree with you. I think if you're planning for the future, you want a young AWPer. I just think for FaZe, and I kind of mean this in a good way and a bad way, they remind me of the VP of like the 2013 to 2019 VP. It's like, it's pure chaos ball that everyone's second favorite team, amazing in arenas, but there does come that stage where you just kind of see it stop working. And I think FaZe is a bit different because they've obviously had to change players and VP never did. But it's that kind of same unraveling of, I'm not scared in a 2v4 for a team if it's Frozen in a Liege, or even like Rain in a Liege, Rain in Frozen. Like, that's just not a feeling. And I think they've kind of lost that identity, which is why I could see in October them going, okay, we can bring back that identity because Carrigan and s1mple just will be a duo that work, and then we can work out the rest and have 3 young guns around him. And I think if they're planning for the future, then that is a way to kind of keep the FaZe identity, but then actually still have the talent to build around. Just because there's not enough good AWPers in this scene, and all the young AWPers are so expensive anyway. You've got the good relationship with s1mple. So that's why I want it to happen, even knowing everything I've said about he's definitely like way worse than he used to be. I just think in the server, he's better than anyone else they could get, unless they spend stupid money anyway.
My thing is, I think that, again, I don't know if this is how they feel. I've not spoken to them. I have absolutely no inside knowledge. But I imagine Carrigan and Rain are starting to get to the point, and I think Rain actually did an interview where he said this, like, the time is coming where they're going, okay, maybe it's time, you know, like Rain wants to see his kids grow up and not be on the road. I don't think that they're going to be okay with not winning. I don't think that they're okay with where they are now, right? I don't think Elige came to FaZe to be okay with where they are now. This is a team that wants to win titles. They want to win trophies. I don't know if waiting, so cool. So we bring Brokey back. We sit and wait for s1mple's contract to expire so we can get him as a free agent. I don't know if s1mple is is he going to win us trophies? I don't know. I don't think. I mean, they'll know better because they would have seen whatever happened at the major and behind the scenes what they were dealing with. But I don't know if s1mple's the go-to if you want to try and make one last run for trophies, because I get the impression there's not a lot of time left, right? So maybe they're looking for 6 months to a year, you know, maybe end of next year. Again, I don't know. I'm putting time frames on it, but s1mple's not going to get you there fast.
I think the counterpoint to that, though, is that if you're expecting them to get a young AWPer, that also requires a lot of development time. They're not going to be someone who just fits in. Like, you're not going to get a Molodor who just instantly is able to actually keep performing. That's not a easy feat. It's not a common, you know, thing for a new promoted AWPer to do. Whereas, as you said, I think even back at the Copenhagen major, I was saying that if FaZe won that, Carrigan might just retire on stage afterward. Because that felt like he would be ready to just go out on that high and end his career. So it's been over a year that the sentiment of, you know, when is he going to retire? When is Rain going to retire? Has been floating around. And I don't think Carrigan wants to retire on a low, which is like, that's a short-term goal. And like they said with this s1mple coming in for the major, it was a Hail Mary. And now, really, like, what is this plan that Carrigan's going to come into after? He said he's going to go talk to FaZe management. I just don't see him planning to stay for, you know, another 2 years to try and build up a young AWPer and reinvent this entire squad. Because the role balancing just doesn't work on this team. Rain playing the most ridiculous roles for his abilities. Like, he's removing him from outside on Nuke is just ridiculous. there's so many weird clashes that I think they need a short-term solution that's going to work in the next 6 months, not something that they have to plan for in 2 years. Unless Kerrigan wants to, move into coaching or a management position afterward and continue and then develop that way, which, I mean, to be honest, I don't see him trying to do that at the moment, at least.
So do you write off this whole season though? Because the major cycle kind of is gonna start it's like mid-November, right? So if s1mple's only out in October, like what? So then this is a write-off. You go, okay, this whole season, nah, let's try again next year. I don't imagine that's Kerrigan's plan. Also, I feel
think
like
you're right. I don't think they try and get s1mple though. I think you're right on that aspect at least.
It's also like deja vu because during like the RMRs for the Rio major, we were having conversations about Fallen retiring, and look where we are now. So I mean, what do we know?
This is literally a comparison I was thinking of in my head. Is like, I don't want s1mple to end up like Fallen, where he's still, one of the best in his role for his region. But like, this is the thing, I can't have s1mple be a top 10 AWPer or like a top 5 AWPer. Like, that would upset my memories of Counter-Strike if that is what we have. So I think I agree, you guys. I think FaZe could do it for the outer server reasons and everything, like even if it's 2026, not 2025. But that is something I think s1mple want to avoid. I think like Kerrigan, like Rain, as much as FaZe are kind of the content org, I don't think they're content players. I think like he can do the vlog, but he's there to win. And I think you're right. I think there's only so many years they can go without winning before you just ultimately have to pull the plug at some point. And that's the thing, is when does that happen? Because how long has it been since they won a trophy now? It's like Chengdu last year, which barely counts. It's like the worst big event of the year in terms of team attendance. And then before that, you have to go back even further, right, to like that flurry and start of CS2 that kind of wasn't sustainable. So you look at it now and it's, yeah, s1mple is a short-term fix, but that like you said, that rifling core is not a short-term fix because it's hard to know who to remove. And honestly, if I was someone like Frozen, I'd be looking at my options this summer window. Honestly, I think he's been far and away their best player this year, and I think he could do a job in a role not many people are very good at. I think we saw what Spinks did to Mouse with having that kind of like proper lurker, like actual star lurker. Too many people just have like 2 anchor lurker bitches. Like, no, you need like someone like Robs who can actually kill people in this role sometimes. And I think Frozen could improve loads of teams. I think even if he wanted to gamble on like this new G2 lineup, that's more fun and exciting than FaZe waiting for s1mple or bringing Brokey back or just kind of wasting, like out of loyalty to Kerrigan. I think Kerrigan's the piece that you want to build around, but how long can he not win before this is too much, like you guys are saying?
Isn't it also, correct me if I'm wrong, again, because now I'm just trading in gossip and rumors, but wasn't the story around Rops the whole thing of like the FaZe managements are just really slow to get shit done, like because they just kind of, and I think it happened with Twist as well, where like just the higher ups, the cogs in the machine are turning so slowly, and then all of a sudden like you're trying to renegotiate, you're trying to stay, and nothing's happening, and so then you end up walking. I mean, that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was kind of what was said. I think that was the thing
with Twists. I'm not sure if that was the same deal with Roths, but definitely with Twists, that was the conversation.
Yeah, so then there's a part of me that goes, okay, cool. So now you have a situation where Kerrigan's got to have this meeting with management, which he said is going to happen. But if they're slow to like get stuff done, that's not a good sign, because this is, especially now, I mean, I'm still waiting. Like, we're meant to have this absolute roster chaos, right? That's what we were all kind of predicting because of the Vitality run, like that there's going to be massive changes and teams are going to be scrambling to try find pieces to beat Vitality. Obviously, at the moment, it feels like nothing's happening, but I think in the next few days, maybe because of the Cologne cutoff, we'll start seeing it. But if FaZe is slow, that's not good for them either, because then it does mean that it's a dead team walking for most of the next season, if you like, until the end of the year, which doesn't bode well for Kerrigan, for Rain. Like you said, then people are going to start looking elsewhere. I mean, Elige moved his entire life to Europe. Like, he didn't do that because he was okay with just sitting around being fine.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other problem they've got is I think Skulls is in their VRS lineup. So their VRS lineup is the Skulls and s1mple lineup. So for all these like Cologne invites, all the ones coming up, I'm pretty sure our strikers said this.
Is it really? Oh god!
Because it's
what?
It's the June one. So they have to keep Frozen, Elysian Carrigan if they want to keep their spots. Or sign Skulls.
God, I
You
love the Valve Global.
Maybe I need a
standing.
fact check on this. I just swear
I'm
that's the thing.
checking. I'm checking.
You are
Guys,
checking.
you said we were here to
What's
talk
up?
about
No,
Simple,
you're
and now
totally right. No, you're
No, all
totally
you-
right.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that-
god! Oh my! As I say, you said to me we're coming to talk about Simple. Now all you've done is just be mean about Carrigan and break my heart. And I'm like, how is this? Telling me all this bad news. I'm like, how is this? I'm gonna leave this depressed. I'm gonna be sad. Like, what have you done?
It's funny because
Well-
I was about to redirect and say, obviously this is about Simple, and I was going to ask what other destinations he could possibly go to other than retirement, as Sam wants him to do.
I don't
Never
want
see him
him to
again.
do it. I just don't. What is the other option, right? So it's pretty clear Navi's. From what Navi's not bringing him back. Wonderful's still in that lineup. Like, they ain't bringing him back. I don't know why. They must know something we don't know about the guy, because Blade is so adamant that he's not bringing him back. Where else do you go? Which
Game Elite
team?
indeed an AWPer.
Let me rephrase. Which team can afford the buyout? Is because there is still a couple of months on the contract. So who has enough money to afford the buyout? Probably none, bar Falcons, who aren't going to touch him. What do you do?
G2?
You think G2 would? No, they've got some players, man. They're not. They're fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Yeah, the thing is, are we talking about now or are we talking about October? That's the real question, because if you have 3 months and you have some of these teams who are on the cusp of qualifying for a major, but then they are not actually able to do, they're not actually able to do anything just before the major, and they try and do like a Hail Mary. Are we going to have a second Hail Mary attempt before the major?
He loves the Hail Mary. I mean, honestly,
Yes,
I can see that. He's just a major mercenary for the rest of his life.
But the next question is, which team is he going to be okay with? Because surely you're not going to be like, okay, Flip, like, I'll take Gamer Legion. Like, nah, dude. At some point you go, okay, you know what? If I want to keep my legacy and I still... You don't want to, like, be that guy who starts going to play for, like, whichever team will take you. You were the greatest of all time. Like, surely you're not going to fall away into obscurity like that.
I think the one fun option we haven't really done is Liquid, just because that we know they've got so
That's
much
fun.
money.
Yeah.
But
That's a fun.
I think didn't Zeus say that like Twist didn't want Donk because like didn't understand the game enough or something? Like would they want Simple? But
I think he thought he was
that's-
inexperienced at the time or something and didn't
Okay,
trust
so it's
that.
like he wide swings too much or something. It's like, yeah, okay, that's the game. But now it's shooing Twist, Nut, Simple, plus like a real anchor. I could get excited. I could get excited about Liquid.
I just got excited about that, actually. I kind of like it.
Mhm.
I like it.
Just keep NAF, they'll still win the major. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. We'll workshop the anchor. But that's
It's
possible.
questionable.
They can workshop the anchor. But I think that's the kind of issue for Simple as he is, picking from such a limited bunch that kind of keeps his value in his head and also can pay him his literal value in terms of his salary even, because I'm not sure if it exactly works like sports where if they don't have to pay your buyout, then they pay you more because you're a free agent. Like you have like the signing on bonus thing. It's like a big thing in football. Maybe I'm waffling. But he'll be expensive either way, I'm sure.
But I mean, if he's serious, here's the thing, right? If he is serious about coming back and like wanting to prove that he is the greatest of all time, right? If he's like, I'm going to come back and I want to be the top of my game. Dude's made enough money. Like, he could take a salary knock if it was the right. Like, I imagine if he looked at it and went, okay, cool, this is the right team for me. This is where I can get that done. I really believe it. Hell, I'm chilled. Like, you don't need to pay me what I'm. Because my understanding is he's getting paid a lot of money at Navi. Like,
Yes.
so maybe just be like, okay, cool, I'm going to take a salary knock because I want to prove that I'm the best. So now, if you're not willing to do that, then there's a whole other question of like, well, then why are you coming back? Like, that's because teams can't afford you. You're not what you're charging and what you're delivering are not the same thing.
I think this is actually the biggest point, and what you were talking about earlier is it whether if he actually has the drive to come back and play and practice and compete like he used to, like grind the game like he used to, spend the entire day just playing for fun, then yeah, he should be willing to take a bit of a salary cut and do that, because that's just his reality right now. Like, you would think if he ended the major the way that he played in stage 3, maybe we would disagree. Maybe he would have raised his stock enough to actually make that a conversation. But the way that he played it in the playoffs, and when you look at the actual major run overall, I think that really does. It shows you that there's still a lot of work for him to do. There's still a lot of work for teams to do to actually work with him over time and get him up to date and help integrate him. So I don't see, as you said, I don't see like teams spending big cash to try and bring him in because it is a risk. He's not a young player anymore. Obviously, he's still s1mple. He's a big brand. He does bring you a lot of eyeballs, but the amount that you're going to pay versus a younger AWPer, it's likely not worth the risk unless he's willing to take that salary cut, as you're saying.
But it's not him. Like, it's not like him in a room with Sherry. Like, oh, how good do you think I am at the game? And then you'll pay me that amount. Like it is his agency talking to a management figure saying, I made 1.5 million people watch a FaZe game against some bum in stage 2. So pay me this amount of money. Like that's the conversation. So I think,
which is fair. It is a fair
which
conversation.
is fair. But are you a sports team or are you a entertainment brand? And I think in esports that is an open question for a lot of teams. But I think it is the one you have to ask if you're signing someone like s1mple, instead of, like the kind of the criminal comparison would be someone like Yambo, who cost Fnatic 600k and is really good and has a big ceiling, very aggressive AWPer. Like I think, like what the GT CEO basically said about s1mple a few months ago is that all the big orgs kind of want someone with upside and on the uphill of their career. Like it just doesn't really make sense to spend loads and loads of money on someone like s1mple unless it is literally like a 6-month deal, like major to major, and you extend it based on how he does. And I think that's why we have seen the kind of major mercenary thing. But then my concern with that is that because we all remember like the flashy kills and everything, but I think the thing that made s1mple so scary, like in his prime, was his ability to carry a bad team by just understanding rotations better than everyone else, right? And if you're going to be just playing the major cycles, I don't see how he's ever going to get kind of those rotations back to what made him the best player in the world. Because other people are fast, right? The reason he was a GOAT at CSGO was his understanding of the game. And I just don't see how you ever really get that back with all the out of server stuff, all the kind of things about his buyout and missing 2 years of CS2. I just think that's too big a challenge for anyone, even someone as good as s1mple.
It's pretty like it just comes down to a really basic question, which I think we keep going back to, which is how hungry is he? And I don't think he's actually answered that yet. I know he spoke about it was exciting to play with FaZe and it's so nice and I want to do this. And I know since then he spoke about being in contract jail with NAVI and how he's not going to, I think he did that on Telegram. But has s1mple ever actually sat down and gone, I'm back, I want to be the best, screw everyone, I'm going to put in the work, like I'm hungry for this, I just need a team that will take me. I don't think he's actually said that. So is he... We're all talking about s1mple coming back, but is he hungry enough to want to come back and be the best, or does he just want to get picked up by a team so he can play? You found it.
Yeah, we had it prepped. We had it ready.
Yeah. No, I made that just now as she was talking. But yeah, I think that is the thing of just, if you were him, would you be hungry? I guess is the question. It's like, how many people have it in them to kind of have the climb down from being the best player in the world and then go back again? Like, people want to say it's the Michael Jordan baseball thing, and I just think that it just can't be. I just struggle with it. But yeah, by the way, calling it jail is insane. If he's on as much money as people say he's on, that's not a jail. That's no way.
Especially for how long he sat on the bench for and gotten that money.
Mm-hmm. Has he done some streams with the NAVI logo on though? That's worth that much a month probably.
Depends if he was drinking or not.
Oh, you go, Sam. Sorry.
No, I mean, I was going to say there's that saying that says it's hard to get to the top, but it's harder to stay at the top. Because I think, like, again, what I said right at the start is once you get there and you get all the fruits of the hard work, right? All the good stuff, it's really tough to, like, having to keep grinding. Other than, like, it's the football reference, but like other than Cristiano Ronaldo, like who do you know that like made the top? Maybe there was a comeback, like the Michael Jordan comeback or whatever, but for the most part, it's not common when you reach the top. You're the best for a bit, and then you kind of just enjoy life. And like there's so much against him in that sense. Like, so one, it's like, okay, are you willing to give up what your life looks like now to grind it out and start that mad travel again and prove that you're keen? Are you willing to take the salary knock because that's likely going to have to happen if you want to be in a team that can win trophies? And then also, are you able to prove that your attitude problems are gone, that your drinking is under control? Like, all of that's going to come into question as well, right? And I'm sure those are conversations that happen in team boardrooms if this name comes up, of like, what guarantees, and if you're sitting with his agent, what guarantees do we have? Because that's the other thing. The guy's made enough money that he doesn't need to be on your team. So your agent's sitting there, like, he could choose to retire at any given time. And it's not going to, like, he doesn't care, like, in that sense, about your team and what you're building. So is he hungry enough, and is he worth the risk, is probably the questions that teams have to ask. And I personally don't think that there is a team currently that's going to be willing to take the risk.
I wouldn't even say it's a money factor, because he was making excellent money for a long time on NAVI. He was the best player in the world for a long time. He had that money. It wasn't really a problem. So I wouldn't say that it's the money that's a factor. It's whether he's now comfortable enough to, like, not put in the same kind of grind effort as he used to because he's been away. I don't think it's a thing that he has all the money now and he doesn't need to do anything. I would say it's more whether this break has killed that same intensity that he had when he used to actively play. Because the money is I think secondary. I think s1mple would be able to put that aside if he actually wanted to play the game. So I don't know if I would factor that in as much. I was gonna pull up a couple of threads from our famous forums that tried to answer some of these questions. But, you know, Sam, the forums agree with you in a couple of these things.
Find any glazers?
I mean, that's probably, I'm going to be honest, it's probably because I do have a burner account because I am an HLTV forum troll. So I go on there a lot. It's probably me in the forums right now agreeing with me.
Well, this thread said
but you'll
simple
never
options.
know.
Just do it on your main, like me. You can be a
Never.
bystander and still
Harry
have a
just
job,
gets tagged by everybody, which is something that I don't envy. I'm so
I
glad
get
it's not.
cancelled.
even turned on the heart manacy for the forums, and then someone replied saying that it was the most unprofessional thing he'd ever seen, ever in his life. So that's my forum tactic: is just do it on main, and it's fine. Nothing bad ever happens afterwards.
We have a thread that said simple options, and it kind of went through everything that we said. It said JL and Emo wouldn't want to play with s1mple. FaZe probably not going to get him because he's too expensive. Maybe G2, which would be hilarious. Maybe Liquid, which would also be hilarious. Nobody else out of the teams would possibly want to change their sniper, has the money to get s1mple. And then comment number 1 with 200 upvotes is just retirement. So
That was me.
That might be Sam's burner, yeah. That
got the
might be
fire
your
on it.
burner. So, I mean, you are surprisingly in agreement. Oh, the second comment is also retirement. So, a lot of the forums agree with you, Sam. Maybe you won't actually get a lot of hate, as you said that they like to attack you.
But s1mple's number 1 fan will refuse to continue doing my podcast with us because we're on Thorin. Will be like, I can't believe you've done this. Like, because you know that he's there. He still believes that s1mple's coming back. He'll be devastated that I've publicly said that the guy should just retire. But I do actually think retirement would be best for him. I think sometimes that's just what has to happen, right?
Yeah, I think that for him, like if I was his personal advisor, I'd say, look, you've completed the game. Like there's all you're going to get from coming back is like being the 10th best player in the world for a few years and then retiring anyway. Like you might win 1 or 2 trophies. But he's not going to be able to take over in the same way, and I think that'd just be quite depressing for you as a person. As a fan, from a fan perspective, I'd take him on anyone. Literally anyone. It's just more fun when he's around. Like just even when, like, because we were in stage 1 for the major, and it's like, oh, it's stage 1. Like, oh, Amelia's on the table. Let's get a video of that. That's great. That was fun. But it's a different room, and then FaZe turn up for that heroic match, and you are literally in a completely different. Like, not even different tournament, like different world completely. So I want that at events. I want s1mple at events. And if the cost of that is to get, you know, a player who is much worse than he is in our mind's eye, is that worth it? I think for a fan, yes. But I think for his own, like, legacy and brand, I would rather he pulled the plug too early rather than too late, even if he thinks he could still get back. Because I think, look, a top 10 player in the world, that's nothing to be afraid of for anyone else in the world. But for him, I'm going to have to side with the forums as well, I think.
We have a question from Nomad_is_goat. So a fan of
Great name.
our developer.
Not foreign, it's fair to say.
And the thread is m1ple versus s1mple. m1ple is 20 years old now. In the next 7 years, is he ever as good as s1mple?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
No.
Wow. Not a true fan of m1ple.
I've turned on him
straight away.
Take that
heart off. Take that
I've
heart off.
I've turned on him straight away. And no, because he's not as good as Zyro and Donk. His ceiling isn't as high. He has too many bad maps compared to Zyro and Donk.
7 years?
In 7 years' time, he'll still not be as good as Zyro or Donk. They'll both still be better than him.
No, it's not whether he's better than Zyro or Donk. It's better
m1ple
if
was
he's
better than
s1mple.
Zyro in 2024. I would be surprised if he was better than Zyro or Donk in the next few years.
Sam, you had a reaction. What do you think?
No, I mean, I kind of I agree with Harry there, but I also just think that when s1mple was at his prime, I mean, it was a completely different game, right? Technically, but I also just think that the meta was different and the way AWPers played was different, and I think everything's changed in CS2, and I just don't think those like magical moments that s1mple gave us, I just don't think you're gonna get those anymore, and I'm gonna judge like. To me, that'll always make s1mple better than everyone else, but it's kind of unfair because it means that like m1ple doesn't have the opportunity to do the same. If that, I don't know if that makes sense, but it is like a very emotional response. But also, no, to me, s1mple will always be the GOAT. And like, I hate the argument. I hate the discussion. I don't care what you have to say about Zyro. And that is why I think he should retire, because I do not want him to fade into oblivion and just look really bad on the server and finish like 5th or 6th. So that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the most famous forum thread of all. Do you remember the 30 kill game, right? And I think for people like s1mple and m1ple, they are more towards the kind of Didier Drogba is the niche football reference. Is the guy who is the highlight machine. Like, he's there if you want a clip, that's what you want. You want s1mple or m1ple on it. But if you want someone to just accumulate 20 kills every single match, even if they start badly, even if they start well, they'll end on 20 kills. Like, Zyro and Donk are just a different ball game to even prime s1mple for that. Like, s1mple would be the one you want for one round, but over a match, like, even by the time it was like 2022, 2023, like that was already quite clear that for pure consistency and pure just output all the time, like the 2Ks that win you the rounds that don't end up costing loads as a sort of souvenir chip, right? It's those boring 2Ks that make you the best player in the world now. And I think the time of s1mple is it's a time of nostalgia, really, is what we're talking about. And I just think that era is kind of fading. And I think m1ple is kind of a relic of that in terms of he'll go for these stupidly flashy plays, but he's still kind of got the Zuma brain and CS2 understanding. I think that's kind of what we would see now is that kind of third place, ultimately.
Something we discarded pretty early on was the possibility of him returning to NAVI. And that seems to be because s1mple-NAVI relation is worn out by Brazilian flag HLTV. Who could have thought that s1mple and NAVI story would end this way? Arguably their best player in the org's history and a player who kept being loyal, even when he had to carry 4 bots for more than a year, calls now the org a jail. It tells a lot. How NAVI doesn't give a fuck about their players, idols or fans. Shame on you, NAVI. You're mishandling s1mple for enough time. Free him.
Free him?
Yes.
Right, the guy just didn't turn up to a tournament. Like, he literally just didn't turn up to a tournament. Like, Navi,
it's like
I'm sure
that
there's something in the
meme
contracts.
of the guy biking and he sticks the stick inside of the spokes of his own bike and then blames someone else, you know?
Like, if I was making like a pro player contract, I would make sure there's a clause which is you must turn up to the tournament.
I don't think you should even have to put that in the contract. I just presume it's a given.
Sure.
You are contracted to play competitive Counter-Strike. You would just presume that there is an expectation that you arrive at the events.
Yeah, if Blade is orphing, then your salary is cut by 75%. But I don't think that clause was in there. I think Navi's lawyers need to take a cold look at themselves about this contract.
How
That's
about
probably in all Navi player contracts now. You will attend tournaments.
Yeah.
Like that's a line.
It'll be in
somewhere.
Wonderfuls, that's for sure.
how about you were too harsh for him? After 2-year hiatus from CS to quarters is pretty impressive thing. Your Zaiwu won't even be able to shoot after time like that, and this MF just pulls out at least 1.05 rating every event he played.
I did say that earlier where I was like, "Are we the problem?" Because there is a part of me that's like, we're kind of like we are pretty.
Really?
We put the standard is rather high for the gent. Like I wonder if we are the problem, but then also tough. That's just how it is.
That's his
So
fault.
this
It's
one's
his
your
fault for
burden.
setting
Yeah.
the standard.
Stop being so good, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the problem though. Like nobody knows where to go with s1mple from here. Like it's such a gray zone because if he has a commanding salary, as you were saying earlier, there's no small org that's going to sign him because they either can't play the salary or they make money by signing young players and selling them to more tenured organizations. And then bigger organizations aren't going to buy older players who have a massive salary and don't have anywhere to go. So it really leaves us in a bit of a lurch in that sense. Whereas, I think, I actually I haven't read this one. So we might get a thread that could be good or bad. It just says simple hot take. And it says, although by Hallandwu with a French flag.
I've heard of this name. He's tagged me in a few, I think. Go on.
It says a simple hot take. Although Hercules Wu is number one and the GOAT, s1mple with a 2 instead of the 1 was not actually bad at the major. Yes, he lost the SF with his misses. Wasn't the semifinal, by the way. But we all forget that FaZe before him with Midkey were losing to everyone, not even making it to the playoffs. With s1mple, again with the 2, they gained some motivation. s1mple also gained some motivation after drinking for 2 years and doing nothing, and still was better than most of the players at the major with 1.17. Since when is 1.17 at the major and playoffs in 7 maps is considered a washed result? Midkey was 0.8 almost every match this year with the same type of baiting and playstyle. I'm a proud GOAT-Wu fan, but I was happy to see s1mple on the stage again, and I wish he will return next season and train and grind to become even better. It is like having Ronaldo and Messi still playing, 2 legends. First comment says, most normal Hallandwu thread, by the way.
Can I start my only, well, not my only, my main thing that's rattled me in there is calling Zaiwu Hercules Wu, right? Because what is Hercules famous for? He's famous for 7 labors, right? I think it was 7. Like, the hard labors. Zaiwu's hardest labor is beating Mongols and Game Legion in a major final. Like, this is not the same. This is not the same as Hercules, like, cleaning out that fucking stable. It's not the same thing at all. Yeah, but yeah, the s1mple bit was
Maybe
great.
the 7 labors, maybe the 7 labors are the 7 MVPs he's already got.
Rennie's in my labor. He's too good, man. He's too good. It looks too easy. Hercules is the wrong comparison. It needs to be someone who's Achilles. What's the Odyssey?
I agree with that forum user, and his from here on out, I will refer to him as Hercules Wu, if only to tilt Harry at every opportunity I can get.
It really will.
Okay, I think that wraps the threads. I don't think there's too many that don't have a similar sentiment to what we've already said. I think a lot of them were very similar in the sense of either FaZe, please sign him, or retire. That was basically the either end of the stick.
That's going to be the Gemini AI like video overview of this 1 hour podcast as well. So let's
I'm
Which
already
is
not
basically-
disparage the forums too much.
I think if you had to summarize it, we have no cooking clue what to do with s1mple. Okay, that's really what it comes down to, right? Like, no one really has an answer.
Well, the clickbait headline for the video is obviously Sam saying "just retire." s1mple fans come here. So I think that's obviously going to be the lead.
Definitely do that. Because no one watches videos anymore. They'll just read that, and then all your comments will be, you know what they'll say? They'll be like, who is this woman? She knows nothing about Counter-Strike. Boom. There we go. I've basically told the future.
Incredible. We might have to do that though. Harry, what do you think? Is that going to be our title?
We're going to leave it to the headline team, but they're hard at work, I'm sure. It's nothing to do with us. Please have us back on your podcast. No, it's fine. It's not our fault.
But,
It's like
yeah,
the forums. They don't reflect HLTV's official opinion at any time.
Do not
Yeah,
They
exactly.
do not reflect it. But we definitely chose the clickbaitiest headline we could find.
That's the game. That's the game.
YouTube's different. It's not the same as the headlines on the website, obviously, until we put the YouTube title on as a headline on the website.
My last video was "Are Mongols still noobs?" So I mean, I get it. Clickbait that's the way.
Our last video was Senzu quit opping, and that really didn't work.
He did not quit
out for
Orphic.
us.
He did not quit Orphic.
But yeah, Sam, thanks for coming on. Obviously, I think it was a lot of fun. You said that you didn't know what to say about s1mple, but I feel like the conversation was pretty good. You came out with a strong case for retirement, at least.
Just retire. There we go. I knew exactly what to say.
Make it clippable as well. It's perfect.
And anything you want to leave us with, if you want to plug any of your own content. I know that you have your own podcast and whatnot as well.
I don't want to plug my own content. I just want to say that to all the forum users, you are actually the best. And I spend a lot of time reading and laughing. And I don't care what anyone says. It is funny when you're toxic. So continue.
FaZe.